Most people believe freedom looks like sleeping in, avoiding responsibility and doing whatever feels good in the moment. Jocko Willink opens discipline equals freedom by flipping that comforting lie on its head. He doesn't whisper motivation or offer poetic comfort. He delivers a blunt, almost shocking truth. The only real freedom you will ever experience comes from discipline. The kind of discipline that wakes you up when your mind begs for sleep, that forces you to train when motivation disappears, that makes you choose the harder path even when nobody is watching. From the very beginning, the book feels less like something you read and more like something that confronts you, as if Jocko is standing across the room, staring directly into your excuses and daring you to justify them. The book unfolds as a series of tightly connected ideas rather than a traditional story. Yet there is a clear progression. It begins with the battlefield mindset, both literal and metaphorical, because Jocko's worldview is shaped by war. He introduces the idea that life itself is a battlefield, one where comfort is the enemy and weakness is always waiting for an opening. He explains that discipline is not punishment, it is preparation. When you choose discipline voluntarily, you are taking control before circumstances force their control upon you. The message is relentless, but empowering. If you don't discipline yourself, life will do it for you, and it will be far less merciful. Jocko then moves into the daily rituals that define disciplined people. He talks about waking up early, not as a macho flex, but as a psychological advantage. Early mornings represent ownership of time. When you wake up before the world demands anything from you, you gain a quiet dominance over your day. He describes how darkness and silence sharpen focus, how those early hours become sacred ground where training, thinking, and planning happen without interference. This isn't about being extreme for the sake of it. It's about stacking small, deliberate choices that compound into strength, clarity, and confidence. From there, the book shifts into physical training, but not in the shallow, get fit sense. Jocko treats physical training as a foundation for mental resilience. He explains that your body and mind are inseparable. When one weakens, the other soon follows. Exercise becomes a form of character training. When you push through physical discomfort, you are rehearsing discipline for every other area of life. The gym, the run, the cold, the sweat, these are controlled environments where you practice choosing effort over comfort. Jocko makes it clear that the goal isn't aesthetics or ego. The goal is capability. Strength is freedom. Endurance is freedom. Health is freedom. When your body fails, your options collapse. As the book progresses, Jocko tackles the inner war: ego, fear, and insecurity. He dismantles the idea that confidence comes from feeling good about yourself. In his view, confidence comes from evidence. You earn self-belief by keeping promises to yourself, especially the small ones. Every time you choose discipline, you deposit proof into your mental bank. Over time, that proof becomes unshakable confidence. He also addresses fear, not as something to eliminate, but as something to confront directly. Fear signals growth. Running from it only strengthens its hold, while disciplined action weakens it. One of the most striking elements of the book is how it reframes suffering. Jocko does not romanticize pain, but he refuses to demonize it. He argues that suffering, when chosen intentionally, becomes a tool. Voluntary hardship builds immunity to involuntary hardship. Cold showers, hard workouts, strict routines. These aren't punishments. They are rehearsals. When life eventually throws chaos, stress, or loss your way, you are not encountering discomfort for the first time. You've trained for it. The book then dives into responsibility, which Jocko treats as the ultimate form of freedom. He introduces the idea of extreme ownership, not as a leadership theory, but as a life principle. Everything in your life is your responsibility. Your failures, your circumstances, your reactions, your outcomes. This idea can feel heavy at first, but Jocko reframes it as liberating. When you take ownership, you reclaim control. Blame traps you. Ownership empowers you. Once you accept responsibility, you gain the freedom to change your situation. Jocko also addresses balance, but not in the way most self-help books do. He rejects the idea that balance means equal effort everywhere. Instead, balance is about priorities. Sometimes life requires obsession. Sometimes it requires restraint. Discipline allows you to adjust intentionally rather than react emotionally. Without discipline, balance becomes chaos, disguised as flexibility. As the book continues, Jocko discusses leadership, but he makes it clear that leadership starts with self-command. You cannot lead others if you cannot lead yourself. Discipline creates credibility. People don't follow words, they follow behavior. When others see consistency, effort, and accountability in your actions, leadership emerges naturally. This applies not only to teams or organizations, but to families, friendships, and communities. Another recurring theme is simplicity. Jocko strips away complexity and excuses. He emphasizes doing what must be done, repeatedly without drama. Motivation is unreliable. Discipline is dependable. He challenges the reader to stop waiting for the perfect mood, the perfect plan, or the perfect time. Action comes first. Clarity follows. The disciplined person does not debate endlessly, they execute. As the ideas stack up, the reader begins to feel a subtle but powerful shift. Discipline no longer feels restrictive. It starts to feel like structure, like armor. Jocko explains that when you remove decision fatigue, when you automate good choices through discipline, you free up mental energy. You no longer negotiate with yourself every morning. You no longer wrestle with guilt. Your life becomes cleaner, sharper, and more intentional. Toward the later sections of the book, Jocko confronts failure head-on. Failure is inevitable, but discipline determines how you respond. Instead of spiraling into self-pity or quitting, the disciplined response is analysis and adjustment. What went wrong? What can be improved? What action comes next? There is no emotional indulgence, only forward motion. This mindset transforms setbacks into fuel. The tone of the book remains uncompromising until the end. But something important happens. Discipline is no longer portrayed as harsh or cold. It becomes an expression of self-respect. You discipline yourself because you value your potential. You discipline yourself because you refuse to live beneath your capabilities. Freedom, in this sense, is not the absence of rules, but the presence of purpose. In the conclusion, Jocko's message crystallizes into a simple, almost undeniable truth. Discipline gives you choice. When you are disciplined, you can choose when to rest, when to push, when to say yes, and when to say no. Without discipline, choices are made for you by fatigue, by fear, by circumstance, by regret. The disciplined life is not easier, but it is simpler. And simplicity, combined with strength, creates a powerful kind of freedom, the kind that cannot be taken from you by chaos, criticism, or hardship. By the final page, discipline equals freedom doesn't leave you inspired in a soft, temporary way. It leaves you accountable. It doesn't promise happiness or success. It promises something more durable: control. Control over your actions, control over your standards, control over the person you become. And in a world that constantly pulls you toward comfort and distraction, that kind of control may be the greatest freedom of all.